This is the Talk Tonight Show. And we're back once again on the Talk Tonight Show. I'm your host, Jordan Stevens. A recent debate was on Newspapers Dead or Alive. For that, I caught up in a local cafe with a common guest, Scott Stevens. There was also Justin Bieber back-to-back with that, our debate. This show is on gun control in Canada and the U.S. For time slot reasons, I usually play a song, but for this debate, there's a lot of information, and we are on a time limitation, so I probably won't be playing a song in this debate, but next time probably. So there's many interesting facts and opinions on this, and that's why I decided to do this. Rather than having a time slot break, I have quite a few different articles and facts. So the courtesy goes to Huffington Post, Google Images 321F, and Global, as well as CBC, JustFacts.com, and Global News. But as you know, I usually like to give my own opinion first. So, just gun control in Canada and the U.S., it's completely out of hand and not in a good way. I would ban them from a certain population. The insane reasoning for the incidents happening is the fact that guns are available as much as free sand. I do have a small standpoint in defense. These people who are charged with illegal possession of guns and stuff and weapons and different things only represent a very small amount of the people that run into a school of people and pull the trigger. I don't say the names because they were already made famous and glorified by the media. People give credit to the Sandy Hook shooter by saying he didn't know better, and he was mentally unstable. But why did you have the guns out where crazy villains could get them anyways? Like, they say his mom liked guns, and that's why the guns were in the house. But that's just completely ridiculous. You should have a true and legitimate reason to have a gun, not just because you like them. If I were the dictator, I'd be making people have a license, no criminal record, and many other restrictions. People shouldn't demonize guns. They should demonize the control laws and the crazy fruitcakes that think it's okay to possess them for no decent reason. So also I have a very interesting graph that I found from a cool website. I gave the credits at the start. So basically I have a category. A 2005 nationwide Gallup poll of 1,012 adults found the following levels of firearm ownership. And here I have, and so it's probably went even up and up since this poll, because it was 6 years ago. So okay, so I have for the category, I have households, and then I have individuals: male, female, white, non-white, Republican, Independent, and Democrat. So for households, it's 42% own a firearm. Individuals, it's 30%. Male, 47%. Female, 13%. White, 33%. Non-white, 18%, Republican, 41%, Independent, 27%, and Democrat, 23%. And so the top three for that would be Republican, male, and household. I found that very interesting. And then I have one on the same page that I pasted onto there. And this is the murder rates in Chicago and then the United States, 1965 to 2008. And you can see from 1975. It goes drastically up from 1965, and then the handgun ban becomes effective in 1981, and that's when it drops just a little bit for about 6 years, and then it goes right back up again, and then it goes down a little bit, and right in 2008 it's cut off. And when it's cut off, it goes up a lot. So I found that very interesting. And this is a true fact. I really want you to listen up because it's amazing. Okay, so I found this on another page that I'm going to be showing off. So it says, background checks. While those buying from licensed firearm dealers, so those are kind of stores and stuff, have been subject to a background check since the early 1990s, people buying from private sellers, so if you go on Kijiji and find a gun, do not get checked. A key aspect on this debate is whether to keep records and for how long. See, that's interesting because I think you should keep records for at least, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 years. I believe, that's what I believe. And it's amazing that with private sellers, you should be a licensed private seller that can actually, that has to have background checks. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. It's almost kind of foolish. So I am joined in studio by a new guest, Jayden Geerts. I thought he added some great insight and opinion when I had a small conversation outside of the studio with him. So I thought I'd just bring him right in the studio instead of doing a live call because it's much more easier to do, I guess. So I have a few questions, and then I have to have him guess something at the end. So this should be very interesting. Please listen to his great opinion because I do know what it is, but I'd love him to share it with you. So that's why I brought him in, obviously. So, Jayden, what do you think has happened to Canada in the U.S. as far as gun control goes?
Well, Jordan, in the U.S., almost everyone has a gun to protect themselves, while in Canada, we rarely lock our doors. Studies have shown that more Americans have prevented robberies in their own homes than in Canada. So I think the U.S.A. has more of a chance to protect themselves in everyday life, but with guns. So at what cost?
Why do you think this has happened? I mean, what is your opinion in your own words on this situation?
Well, my opinion is that this happened because America is an older country, and with their economy down, more people rely on guns than policemen and women to protect themselves.
That is true. I completely agree with you. I love that. I love that statement. I mean, it just kind of sticks out as so true to me. And also, this isn't really a question, but I found this very interesting. I made a few other people guess, and as if you were listening earlier on in the show, I mentioned this, but I just wanted to do this with Jayden. So, once again, a 2005 nationwide Gallup poll of 1,012 adults found the following levels of firearm ownership. So I have categories and percentage owning a firearm. So my categories are households, individuals, male, female, white, non-white, Republican, independent, and Democrat. Percentage owning a firearm, I have 42, 30, 40, and I'm just saying this randomly. 42, 30, 47, 13, 18, 33, 41, 27, and 23. So, Jane, out of, once again, household individuals, male, female, white, non-white, Republican, independent, and Democrat, who do you think are the top three owning a firearm?
Well, I'm going to have to go with non-white, Republican, and Democrats.
Well, you are wrong in one because it's amazing. I was so kind of dumbfounded, I guess. The top three are actually Republican male household with 42%, 47, and 41. Republican 41 being male 47, and households being 42%. I found that amazing because, I just thought, stereotypically, and this is not a racist remark whatsoever, but in the world of stereotypes, non-white would be one of the highest ones due to gang culture. But honestly, it's amazing. And usually Republican, you're talking U.S., and I think it's from Boston, maybe. I'm not sure, but anyways, I have another graph, murder rates in Chicago in the United States, and this is all guns. And when the handgun law became effective, so you have to be registered for a handgun in 1981, they dropped for a little bit, and then a few years later they just shot right up out of the roof. This is a very interesting topic. Well, thanks very much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it and hope to have you.
Inviting me.
I hope to have you soon again. So me used to be joined in studio with Jayden Geerts. That added some great insight, and I definitely hope to have him on again. So I have one more guest, and then that will pretty much conclude guests, and I will give my opinion, and that will be the end of this broadcast number 7. So I am joined in studio by retired police veteran Gord Ogilvie. I believe that he added some great insight along with Jayden Geerts too. So how are you doing today, Gord?
Oh, just fine, Jordan. How are you?
Good. I'm just going to ask you a few questions, and I hope to have some good replies back. Is that okay?
Okay.
Okay. So working in the environment of guns, pretty much every day of your life as a career, how do you think it's changed from the past?
Well, at one time when I first went into policing, starting back in 1969, not all firearms had to be registered. And then throughout the years, the government passed legislation that all firearms had to be registered. And within the last couple of years, the conservative government has now disbanded the long gun registry for for non-restricted firearms, which is like your long rifles out there.
And do you definitely think that I don't know, it's maybe changed? I mean, as far as people possessing handguns, do you think it's really changed, like really expanded for those people possessing handguns, even for not even that good of reasons?
Well, what it does, it will never stop the criminal from possessing handguns.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, I do believe, even if I'm not a police officer and you are, I do believe that people have definitely the range of handguns and people owning handguns have definitely expanded over the years. I do have a survey too that I'd like to show you. I thought it was very interesting. So just one second. And I also did share this with Jayden Geerts and myself independently earlier on in the show. I found this article on, I think it was Global. I gave the sources in the start, but it says background checks. While those buying from licensed firearm dealers have been subject to a background check since the early 1990s, people buying from private sellers do not get checked. A key aspect of this debate is whether to keep records and for how long. What do you think? What do you think should happen as far as that goes? I mean, keeping records and all that stuff.
Yeah, but in Canada, everybody has to have a background check.
Yeah, I'm talking about the U.S. right now.
Well, I can't really speak for the U.S. because I was in Canadian law enforcement, and our laws are totally different.
Yeah.
And I greatly disagree with how the U.S. is handling their registry and the listing of firearms. But I can only really comment about the Canadian law.
Yeah, well, definitely. I mean, would you say the Canadian law, I mean, you said you can't comment on it, but for what you know as the U.S. law, can you say that the Canadian law is, I mean, in your own opinion, better, or do you think it's, I mean, worse, or what do you think about that?
Well, there's no question that our gun control laws are much better than the United States, because when you look at the United States, you have a federal and then you have state laws, and from state to state varies. But in Canada, you have one law, and that's federal. We don't have provincial laws. It's all federal. There's a huge difference between our gun control legislation and United States legislation, and that's a known fact.
Yeah, certainly. And I mean, would you say that like what you said, the reasoning for many of the United States gun massacres, like the Sandy Hook shooting and stuff like that, do you think that's kind of really contributing to it? Because, I mean, these things in Canada definitely do exist, but they happen more often in the United States.
Well, yeah, and that comes back to our gun control. And like in Canada, we have magazines, different types of magazines that you cannot have. In the United States, you can still purchase them. And a matter of fact, it's still going on about the big debate on magazine, the number of, the size of the magazine and the type of firearm. You cannot possess an AK-47 in Canada. You cannot. It is a prohibited weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And the only one that could even begin to possess that would be some type of a dealer with a special license. But the average individual, no, cannot purchase an AK-47 with that type of magazine. And again, you know, we're talking United States and Canada. And United States is just a whole different ballgame than what it is in Canada. And we're light years ahead on gun control than what the United States is.
Wow, that is a great point. Thank you very much for giving your insight, and I hope to have you again soon.
Oh, thank you, Jordan. My pleasure being here.
Well, that was a great interview. I really enjoyed having him on there, and I think when you have a professional in that topic of what your debate is actually going to be, there's a lot more extensive information in that. That's why, you know, it was so good to have him on there, because he was so extensive with that. And I mean, Jayden Geerts was great too. I really was glad. Hopefully next show I'm going to bring in live callers again. I haven't done that in a while. And like you said before, I mean, the magazines, that ties in with the media and how the media marketing affects people. I'm sure people think, they look in the magazines and think, oh, guns, cool, and everything like that. And even if it is a small effect, when it's repeated and repeated, it just adds on to an effect more and more. So I really enjoyed having him on there, and there was some great opinion. I'm glad I did this debate. We would not have enough time if I did a song, so that's why we didn't do it.